At the turn of the 20th century, as the world braced for change, one era offered a final, dazzling display of all its brilliance. This was the golden age of elegance, luxury, and incredible style, known as the Edwardian era. In those days, jewels were not just ornaments, they were living pieces of history. They held secrets, sealed alliances, and served as symbols of power. But today, we want to look deeper, to understand what lay behind this dazzling splendor, and why some of these treasures remained in the shadows, while others were given a new life only a century later. Let us begin our journey with a masterpiece that perfectly reflects the spirit of its age, the Kokoshnik tiara. This is far more than a dazzling piece of jewelry. In 1888, when the Prince and Princess of Wales celebrated their silver wedding anniversary, 365 society ladies came together to present the future Queen Alexandra with this extraordinary gift, a Diamond Kokoshnik tiara. Originally set with 77 diamond bars of graduated cut, the tiara, designed so it could also be worn as a necklace, was created by the royal jeweler, Gerard. The design was inspired by a Russian diamond Kokoshnik tiara worn by Alexandra's sister, Empress Maria Fedorovna. The Kokoshnik, a traditional Russian headdress, had become part of the imperial court dress and, by the 19th century, evolved into Kokoshnik-style tiaras. Among the most popular were the fringe designs, many of which survive in the royal collections of Europe. The Diamond Kokoshnik was formally presented to the Princess of Wales by the Marquess of Aylesbury, who led the subscription effort. Until that point, the princess owned only her wedding parure. So, this tiara was a highly welcome addition, just as her Amethyst tiara had been, a gift from the Tsar. Alexandra wore the Kokoshnik tiara at the 1893 wedding of her son, the Duke of York, to Princess May of Teck, in the Chapel Royal at St. James Palace. On that occasion, the base of the tiara was reinforced with an additional diamond bracelet. 2 years later, Gerard altered the tiara, mounting it on a new flexible frame. At some point, 16 of the smallest diamond bars were removed. Today, the tiara consists of 61 bars set with a total of 488 diamonds. In the 1890s, Queen Alexandra even lent the tiara to her mother, Queen Louise of Denmark, for a portrait later used by artist Josef Theodor Hansen as the model for a relief of Queen Louise, now in Amalienborg Palace. After Alexandra's death in 1925, the Kokoshnik passed to her daughter-in-law, Queen Mary. Mary wore it for a number of official portraits, including those by Hay Wrightson in 1934. She also posed in it for her 80th birthday portraits in 1947. Widowed in 1935, Queen Mary retained the Kokoshnik for the rest of her life, until her death in 1953. Just weeks before her own coronation at Westminster Abbey, the young Queen Elizabeth II inherited the tiara. She first wore it publicly the following year, at the opening of New Zealand's Parliament in 1954. Upon her return to Britain, the Kokoshnik became a trusted piece for major state occasions. In 1959, the Queen lent it to Christie's for the exhibition Eternal Diamonds. Unlike the versatile Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara or the Vladimir tiara, the Kokoshnik was reserved for the grandest occasions. In recent decades, Queen Elizabeth wore the Kokoshnik only rarely, before it passed on once again, this time to Queen Camilla, ensuring that this remarkable tiara continues its glittering royal journey. However, not all jewels of that era were created for European courts. Some were designed to showcase the power and majesty of an empire. The Delhi Durbar tiara was exactly such a treasure. It was created for the grand ceremony where King George V and Queen Mary were proclaimed Emperor and Empress of India. Queen Mary commissioned a new tiara from platinum and gold, using gems from a dismantled Boucheron tiara and other jewels. Its diamonds formed lyres and S-scrolls, creating a complete circlet that fully encircled the head. Originally, the tiara was set with 10 Cambridge emeralds and was later adapted to hold the magnificent Cullinan III and Cullinan IV diamonds. After the spectacular Delhi Durbar in 1911, King George V wrote to his mother that his wife, Mary, had worn her new tiara to great effect. In 1947, Queen Mary loaned the tiara to her daughter-in-law, Queen Elizabeth, who would later be known as the Queen Mother. It's believed she kept it for the rest of her long life, though she was never seen wearing it in public. After the Queen Mother's death in 2002, her jewelry was inherited by Queen Elizabeth II. Many pieces, including this tiara, were then loaned to Camilla, the new Duchess of Cornwall. In 2005, just months after her wedding, the Duchess wore the Delhi Durbar tiara to a state banquet. To this day, it remains the only time she has ever worn it in public. The tiara was incredibly lavish, designed to hold the legendary Cullinan diamonds. Yet, after its moment in the spotlight, it vanished from public view for decades. But not all jewels were created for the demonstration of power. Some of them were repositories of far more personal and complex stories. One such piece is the Trophy of Love choker, commissioned by Queen Mary in 1901 using stones from a pair of diamond star earrings gifted to her by her mother in 1884. A set of 7 12-pointed stars from her grandmother, the Duchess of Cambridge, and a diamond brooch from her aunt, Princess Augusta, Grand Duchess of Mecklenburg-Strelitz. Soon, the Princess of Wales began wearing her spectacular Trophy of Love collar, which appeared in several impressive portraits in the early 1900s, along with the ivy leaf tiara, the amethyst tiara, and a mysterious diamond floral tiara. The Princess of Wales also wore the Trophy of Love collar with the Boucheron loop tiara and the Surrey fringe tiara for a series of official portraits in 1905. Queen Mary continued to wear the Trophy of Love collar after the accession of King George V in 1910, when it appeared in a series of portraits with a delicate diamond tiara, as well as with Queen Adelaide's fringe tiara. However, chokers soon went out of fashion, and the Trophy of Love collar ceased to be worn in public after the First World War. Despite its romantic name, the choker, it seems, never found a new owner. It was last seen on Queen Mary herself and has since remained one of the most intriguing and little-known treasures of the royal collection, as if sealed in the past. A similar fate befell another piece of jewelry that was not just a precious item, but a true relic. The Dagmar necklace was a wedding gift to Queen Alexandra from King Frederick VII of Denmark. It was skillfully crafted, but its main value was hidden inside the central enamel cross. Encased within this cross were particles of wood believed to be a fragment of the true cross, as well as a piece of silk from the burial site of King Canute the Great. This unique artifact, carrying the spirit of centuries, was used as a piece of jewelry, and although Queen Alexandra and her heiress wore it from time to time, its sacred nature may have prevented it from becoming part of their regular wardrobe. And now, like many other treasures of that era, it is stored away from public view, carrying not only the brilliance of its stones, but also the weight of history. But some treasures met a different fate. They were not simply hidden from prying eyes. They disappeared forever. At her wedding celebration, Princess Alexandra received not only a pearl necklace, but also a magnificent tiara. Princess Alexandra first wore the necklace, earrings, and brooch of the parure on her wedding day, and the tiara remained her most prominent diadem until she received her Kokoshnik tiara on her silver wedding anniversary in 1888. After her death in 1925, the tiara passed to her daughter, Princess Victoria, who disposed of it, while the rest of the parure went to her sister-in-law, Queen Mary. The earrings and brooch were then inherited by the Queen in 1953 and were rarely worn. However, unlike the other pieces from that set, the wedding tiara did not survive to our days. Its trail is lost somewhere in history, leaving behind only photographs and a sense of lost beauty. This reminds us that even the most enduring symbols may not withstand the test of time, and some chapters in the history of the royal collection will remain forever unwritten. Another amazing treasure that left the collection is Queen Mary's Amethyst tiara, a magnificent parure consisting of a tiara, necklace, and a pair of earrings, dating to approximately 1815, as well as a 19th century ring. The parure belonged to Queen Charlotte and was bequeathed to Queen Mary by Princess Catherine of Württemberg in 1898. The tiara and parure were commonly worn for portraits taken in the 1890s, when she was Duchess of York, and in the 1900s, when she was Princess of Wales. Queen Mary was not depicted in the tiara during the reign of King George V, but in the late 1930s and 1940s, she began to be pictured in the parure, notably at the gala premiere of the René Blum Ballet Company in 1937, and at the premiere of The Passionate Friends in London in 1949. After Queen Mary's death in 1953, the amethyst tiara and parure were inherited by an unknown member of her family, possibly the Queen Mother or Princess Margaret, who were not pictured wearing it and secretly sold it, presumably to pay off debts. By the 1980s, the parure belonged to the family of Rorik Ravel, and it was worn by his wife at their wedding in 1983. The amethyst parure was put up for auction at Sotheby's in Geneva in May 1993 with an estimate of $75,000 to $125,000. At the time, Buckingham Palace dismissed rumors that the Queen Mother was selling the parure to pay off her debts. Ultimately, the parure was sold for £55,357 to an unknown seller. The amethyst tiara and parure were later displayed at an antique fair in London's Grosvenor House for £150,000. The current owner is unknown, but the necklace from the parure was worn by Anna Wintour, editor-in-chief of Vogue magazine, at the Golden Age of Couture party at the Victoria and Albert Museum in 2007, though it was likely on loan. The current whereabouts of the amethyst parure are unknown. But not all personal treasures were lost to time. Some of them survived a century to tell their story. One such piece is the Scarab brooch. This is not just a decorative accessory, but a very personal gift from the Prince of Wales to his future wife, Alexandra. It is believed that he acquired it during a trip to Egypt in 1862. He later had jewelers transform this artifact into an exquisite brooch with 2 golden snakes. Alexandra valued this gift so much that she wore it when posing for her bust. This piece of jewelry, unlike the grand tiaras, was not intended for state receptions. It served as a testament to sincere feelings and became one of the few personal treasures that has come down to us. Not all jewels were associated with mystical relics or lost treasures. Some of them held within them stories of deep affection and care. One of these was Queen Alexandra's turquoise tiara. In 1902, the British press reported that King Edward VII had gifted Queen Alexandra a turquoise tiara for her 58th birthday. Although it was mentioned that Queen Alexandra wore turquoise jewelry on various occasions, no public photographs exist in which she is captured wearing these pieces. After Queen Alexandra's death in 1925, the turquoise tiara was inherited by her youngest daughter, Queen Maud of Norway. She could be seen wearing the turquoise tiara at the wedding celebration of her only son, Crown Prince Olaf of Norway, and Princess Martha of Sweden in 1929. The tiara paired especially well with Queen Maud's extensive collection of turquoise jewelry, much of which were wedding gifts. In 1938, Queen Maud brought all her jewels with her to England, where she was to have an operation, and where she passed away from heart failure. Queen Maud's jewels remained in England throughout the Norwegian royal family's exile during the Second World War, and they were only reclaimed during a visit for the Queen's coronation in 1953. The following year, Queen Maud's daughter-in-law, Crown Princess Martha, passed away, and a large portion of the Norwegian royal jewelry collection came into the possession of Princess Astrid, who served as the First Lady of the Norwegian court for her grandfather and later for her father. The Norwegian royal jewels were only divided after the wedding of the then Crown Prince Harald in 1968, when the jewelry was split between the king and his two sisters, and it was Princess Astrid who received Queen Alexandra's turquoise tiara. Soon after, Princess Astrid began to wear Queen Alexandra's turquoise tiara, often pairing it with pieces from Queen Maud's turquoise jewelry collection. The heirloom tiara was reserved for the most important occasions. Princess Astrid has continued to wear Queen Alexandra's turquoise tiara in recent years. Princess Astrid has stated that the tiara and the turquoise parure will eventually return to the main line of the royal family. Therefore, it is possible we will see it soon. Each of these jewels, whether symbols of might, bearers of secrets, or witnesses to personal histories, tell us about a fleeting yet dazzling era. The Edwardian age is gone, but its jewels remain to tell us about love and ambition, about great power, and about how even the most precious things can be lost forever. They remind us that behind every sparkle and shine lies a deep human story. And which of these jewels do you find the most intriguing? Write about it in the comments.